The Coaching Hour with
Boitumelo
on Zoe Live Radio. www.zoeliveradio.co.za.
Good evening. It's a Tuesday night. It's our date night. It's the Coaching Hour with Boitumelo. In this Women's Month show, we celebrate women. We celebrate small achievements that women make. We celebrate every woman that has made a difference in somebody else's life. Last week, we had brilliant women coaches in our studio. And this week, I just wanted to have a one-on-one with my sister, my coach, my former coach, somebody I really, really, really love, somebody I really, really think very highly of. We've been in this life, walking this life together for quite some time now, and I'm so happy to reconnect with her. And I saw an advert with our boss advertising that my sister is joining Zoe Live Radio, and I was so excited. I asked for an interview, and here we are today. Welcome, sis. The coach of the day, our coach for tonight is Francina Mashabela. I'm so sorry, Mashabela. Sis, welcome. Please introduce yourself and forgive me for butchering your surname.
That's okay. So my name is Francine Mashabela, and one of, I suppose, the names, my middle name that people don't know, but I'm really becoming very fond of is Mashadi. So Francine Mashadi Mashabela, born and bred in Soshanguve, Pretoria, currently residing in KZN in Durban, working and living here. Mother to Musa. I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a child of God. Oh gosh, what more could I say? I suppose we'll just keep just talking about a few more things later on. But yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Hey, I know you've been in radio for some time. How does it feel to be part of Zoe Live Women, Zoe Live Radio?
I'm excited. I'm excited because radio has always been a passion for me. Mm-hmm. And obviously, for quite a number of years, I was at Impact Radio way back up until 2017. And the only reason I left was because I had to start a job at the current company where I'm at, and then in 2018 that's when I relocated to KZN. But I mean, radio has always been something that I've been very passionate about, and I'm excited that I get to do this again. I'm excited that I get to speak, and just have some type of influence or impact in people's lives, just with the uplifting words that we put out there. Obviously, it's not just me, but with the work that we all do and the people that we bring, on this platform, so that we can chat to them and get them to inspire the listeners or the audience. So yeah, I'm excited.
Look at you being modest. I have always known you to be a big dreamer. I have always known you to be this woman with the big dreams, and somebody who is not afraid to go out there and put yourself out there and say, life, universe, I am here and I'm here to take what is mine. Let's talk about your purpose in life, sis. I have an idea, but I do not want to spoil it. I want you to tell the audiences, our listeners, what do you think is your purpose in life?
Okay. I think first and foremost, I cannot separate my purpose from God. I just know with the whole of my being that He has called me to uplift, to exhort, to just really help people to get to a point where they discover who they are. They know their identity.
I know you did.
And not just their identity, but I know
you did that with me as well.
That was many years ago.
My coach.
But then for us to really identify or to know our own identity, but not just identity in general, but who we are in Christ. For me, that's number one. Because when we know that, then we're able to move from wherever we are, where the word stuck comes to mind quite a lot for me. I find that I found myself stuck, in certain situations, certain experiences, and I feel like a lot of people, especially women, we find ourselves there. So my purpose, I feel, it's to uplift, to exhort, to help you to get unstuck from where you are, and help you to be able to move, to point B, from point A to point B. If you think about a soccer match or whatever type of sport, what normally happens is you have someone who's the sports person, and then you've got the coach who's helping them to be able to say, hey, this is where you can get from this point to that point so that you achieve your goal. So I see myself just as that person that God has purposed to do that for other people, especially women. I feel drawn to women, especially women that have really experienced emotional wounds. I myself being one of those women who really, I'm sure you can also say Boitumelo, things happen that you haven't really imagined that they would turn out the way they do, and then you find yourself in places where you actually even wonder, how in the world am I going to get out of this? I believe that God has placed me to be able to help someone who finds themselves in that position, for me to be able to help them to, I'm not the healer, God is the healer, but then for me to be able to, get them to a point where they see the light at the end of the tunnel, and they start moving towards the fulfillment of their own purpose for their life.
Hey, yeah, that purpose, I met with that purpose, I promise you, in ESCO. At some point, we worked for the same company, and when I came for the interviews, you were part of the panel of people that were interviewing me. And for some odd reason, you just gave me so much comfort, whenever I would get a very difficult question where I don't even know where to begin, I would just look at you, and you'd be just so bright with a smile, and that would just say to me, you know what, without you saying it, just looking at you, it was like you were saying to me, girl, you got this, don't worry, you got this, I from then on, I never looked back. I'm like, I've got to follow that one. I have got to follow that sister. And
I'm honored.
I really pestered, and I wrote simple emails, and I'm like, hey sis, what do you think of this? I don't know how to do this. I don't know where to do this. And you are always availing yourself. Surprisingly, listeners, listen here. She is not a walkover, okay? And she's not somebody that you can just hoy whatever you want, whenever you want. No. We're talking about a very orderly person here. Order.
Oh my word.
Is priority here.
Are we talking about the same person?
We're talking about my sister Francine. Order. And I'm one person who is just a scatterbrain of note. I'm all over the place. And
I think that's why we know. I actually no. I think that's why
there can't be any comparison between the two of us. Maybe one still growing up and making those steps to get to a point where Francine is, but we've always found each other. At some point, middle point, and you're able to get what you need from me. I'm able to get what you need from me. But what I've learned about you is order. You can't just. Wow. There's no danger. Free flow, free range.
Come on.
No, that's how I know you. And that's how I always saw you as this very serious person who can just, gather my thoughts, gather my energy, and channel it.
But right. You can see we're having a good laugh now, so maybe I've changed. Maybe I've changed.
I don't know about that. But you know what? That formality, that seriousness, it helped me to actually shape up, because that time, when you were coaching me, I remember I used to drive all the way from Joburg to Pretoria North, to meet you at, what is it, Vanderboom or something?
I think it must have been Go Wonder Park.
Wonder Park, yeah.
Yeah.
So I used to drive, and for me to do that kind of a distance, there was some worth to it. There was a great worth for me to drive all the way, to go and get your hour, just 1 hour to sit with you and say, Coach, I'm not sure about this path or that path. What do you think I must do? How do you think I can really win with this thing? And when it comes to your coaching, our laughter would end at past. And
no,
it would end at past, and you'll be shooting at me with questions that would really make my head spin. And you would give me homework. You would give me homework to go and think about stuff, to go and write about this thing that I want to do and how I see it work. And you really tamed me. And I'm so grateful. And that is why today I celebrate women who uplift other women. I celebrate you and the efforts that you put in shaping me up, and many other young people out there, probably less our age. And, I want to talk now about the work that you do. I've spoken about your coaching. You can start with your coaching, and I think I've always said on my show that I think coaching is a gift, is a God-given gift. It's beyond talent. Coaching is about passion for human beings, passion to help other people find themselves, find their purpose in life. And it's not every coach that can do that, because we've got transformational coaches, we've got business coaches, we've got finance coaches, people who have decided to focus on the finances, who've decided to focus on other things. And there are those coaches that would, work with people and transform people's lives. And that's what we're all about here on the Coaching Hour. That's what we're all about. So I want to talk about your career path, your coaching path. How did it even start for you? I know you gave a little bit background, but I just want you to contextualize it again. How did it even start for you? How did you even know that coaching is your thing? And helping people find their purpose is your thing. How did you even find it? And I've known that coaching has everything to do with looking into yourself first before you can reach out to other people.
Wow. Boitumelo, as you were speaking, I actually just thought back to the fact that years ago, before coaching became a thing, as in the term itself, coaching became popular, this is something that has always been a passion for me. And you actually took me back to even way before I knew you, just when I was at a point where I needed to make a decision regarding my career. I remember just as I finished matric and someone was asking me, what are you going to do? What are you going to study? And I remember thinking that I want to do something, where I will be able to help young people so that they don't go through what we went through. I mean, when we were in school, when we were in high school, it was right at the edge, just before that Nelson Mandela, may he so rest in peace, just before he was released from prison. And obviously we know what a historical moment that was. But before then, I mean, I remember in school how we suffered, there was violence in schools. There weren't enough resources resources in schools. I mean, if you think about a school in the township, I went through that, and I don't know if you went through it, but I went through that.
I did.
And then you understand what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Because I remember, I mean, just the whole thing about making a career decision, a decision regarding what you're going to study and what you want to be. That was almost that wasn't something that you just thought about and you knew for sure. It's all because that wasn't provided. Let me just say it wasn't provided in schools. But I remember that key thing, and that moment when I thought, I want to be able to help young people so that they don't go through what we went through. And obviously that's more on the career coaching side of things. And although at that time that's not what we called it, but then I went on to study education. I went on to my dream at that time was to be an educational psychologist. Right. Wow. And when I finished my studies, my degree, I would have loved to continue at that time. I'm talking about years ago at that time. But then I couldn't because I was studying with a student loan and there was just a lot at stake. There was too much pressure financially. I had to try and find a work opportunity. But then I also think I wasn't confident enough at that point to pursue my dreams oh gosh, with everything that I had, I just tried to find whatever that I could find at that point. I tried to get into, I actually started an NPO, I remember, and just a project in the community where we were assisting young people with life skills as well as, extra lessons. That was the start of it. And I remember there was these guys, starting off with one guy that I was working with and who was just pushing me to do this, and of course other guys who were unemployed at that time, and we got together and we were able to assist matriculants with extra lessons as well as life skills. And for me, the life skills part was a passion. I think if I could go back, that was one of the indicators. It was like, I want to help to develop our young people so that they kind of know where they are and where they're going. But then as years went by, obviously I'll be honest with you, I had to put the project on hold because I did find employment at that time, although it was not in the profession that I studied for, right? However, just over time in those years, that's when little by little, God just helped me to connect the dots and even just gave me such passion, especially for women, for us to be able to, just heal from our wounds. And I think at that time, obviously, I think there was a little bit of just being naive and not really understanding what that entailed. I had my own journey to go through to get to a point where I understood what that meant. But throughout, I saw how God put me in the path of different women where, for example, where we would just sit and they would talk to me and they would ask for advice, or I would even help them and ask questions and just help them to be able to find some direction or carve a path, right? And that's where my passion for personal development just grew and became a whole lot more. I think through my radio days at Impact Radio, I was able to also just express that quite a lot through my show, the type of content that I dealt with, which was more focused on just helping people to be inspired and to just focus on their own self-improvement, right? But also on the career side of things, the career development side of things. That's something that, Boitumelo, I remember one day I was in the bus, Kia Escom. I will not forget that day because I was miserable. I was in HR and, people were saying, oh yeah, that's the right profession for you. You're a people's person and all that. But then I found that I was not really doing what I felt God has called me to do. I felt like I was just, my work was more administrative, and nothing wrong with that, but I didn't feel that was my passion. And so I ended up, let me just revert back to the dream. I remember I had a dream where I was in a bus going to Eskom, going to work. And then just as I look outside, I saw there were all these people that were being assisted. There were a group of people that had set out tables and they were helping refugees. They were helping people who did not really have food or anywhere else to go. And I remember looking outside and thinking, I should be out there helping, not in a cubicle, just working on papers and documents and all that. So that has always been something that was burning in my spirit. I didn't know what it meant, but I'll tell you this. A few years, I'm talking 3 years of just this thing burning in my heart while working at ESCOM. And I remember eventually I made a decision that I needed to reinvent my career. I needed to reinvent myself. And I needed, if I were to get out of where I am, where I felt miserable and I didn't feel that I belonged there, I was going to go back and do and study a short course with UNISA. That was the plan. I was going to start my own business. I did do a bit of a startup, and then I found out how difficult it was to actually start your own business.
What business did you get into?
Well, it was called Uniquely You, Personal Development and Career Management Services. So exactly what we're talking about right now. This is something that has always been a passion for me. But basically during that time, it was a time for me to reinvent myself. I did professional CV writing services. I worked with a few professionals that needed a career change. They were just as frustrated in their career and they wanted to know how to make that move. So I had consultations with them just to be able to sit down and say, okay, you can actually try and put a career development plan together, and this is how you can do that.
Tell us about it. Tell us about it, please. How do we pull up a career?
I think that's a conversation. I think that's a conversation on
just a snippet,
to be honest, because you really have to go back to knowing who Boitumelo is and what Boitumelo wants to do. What do you want? You asked me a question about my purpose. What do you want? What do you think is your purpose? What would fulfill you? If you had all the money in the world and you didn't have to worry about working a day in your life, what would you spend your time doing? I believe you need to be able to take that passion and be able to combine it with the resources that you have, be it your qualification or your current skills, and see how you can carve a new path for yourself. Right? Awesome. It doesn't mean that you have to be unrealistic and go off and just leave your job and do something totally different. You can use your current skills, your current set of skills and your passion, what you're passionate about. You can be able to put that together. And obviously it involves, just sitting down and being able to come up with a plan. Now, a plan is customized. It won't be the same plan for Boitumelo as it is for Francine. Francine has different circumstances that are totally different from Boitumelo. But if we sit down and we're able to say, okay, so where are you right now? That's the first thing. Where are you right now? Where do you want to get to? That is the next question. Okay, now that we've established where you are and where you want to go or where you want to get to, we need to talk about how you're going to get there. Are there any skills gaps that you need to close, right? Mm-hmm. What are your life circumstances or realities that you're dealing with? How are you going to navigate that space while at the same time you start moving towards the goal? Where you want to be. So it's customized for each person. It's not something that, hey, here's a template. You can go and get this done. I just am that type of a person who's very, I'm a firm believer that you can take what you're passionate about. You can take your skills, your current skills or qualification, whatever it is, and match those so that you can start carving a path for yourself. I'm going to give an example. Currently, what I do is I work a lot with students and graduates, right? Okay. And I manage the career center, and it's really about preparing the students and graduates for the world of work. I don't believe in just taking your qualifications. Oh, okay, you've got a qualification in Beacon Financial Management. Okay, here you go. This is what you should be doing. I believe in finding out, just you finding out for yourself who you are, number one, where you want to be or where you want to go, and how can you then start standing out to prospective employers to achieve that goal. That is for graduates and students. So for someone who, for example, let's say they're professional already, but they want a bit of a career change. Let's say, for example, you're still with ESCOM, right?
Yeah.
You're still with ESCOM right now. But I mean, let's say you were in a department that, I'm not even talking about your reality, I'm just giving an example. If you were in a department that you were really not so fond of, you wanted to make a bit of a move, and then you've got a qualification, I don't know, it could be, I think you have a qualification in communications, right? But you're very passionate about community engagement, giving back to the community. Instead of just totally leaving your job, you need to sit down and figure out, okay, so these are my set of skills, this is my qualification, this is what I'm currently doing, but then how do I move to a place where I'm actually giving back to the community and I feel that what I'm doing is fulfilling, and at the same time I have an impact out there. The good start would be to check what are your options within the organization where you are, right? If ESCOM, for example, has a CSI department, that would be a good place to start for you to say, okay, so this is the value, that I can add to this department. These are my skills. This is my qualification. So who do I need to start talking to? Who do I need to approach? Or how do I start moving myself out of the space where I am to where I need to be? Then that's where the plan comes in place. Okay, this is what I'm going to start by doing. With me, I had to actually do or refresh my qualifications just in terms of getting a qualification. I think it was a certificate program for career guidance practitioners. I needed to do that. And then the next plan was to obviously just start my business, which wasn't quite easy. I'm proud of myself that I did start.
Your brain.
But I had to come to a place where once again I had to revisit my reality. And I did a reality check. Okay, 2 years later, I've done this qualification with UNISA. I have a startup where I have a few clients that I'm working with. I am doing radio, back at Radio Impact, where I'm doing what I'm passionate about. But at the end of the day, I also have, my own home. I have a child that I need to support. So what do I do? And that's when I had to make the shift again and say, okay, we need to, modify the plan a bit and say, where we are right now, although it's ideal in terms of the dream, it is not ideal in terms of the reality. I need to modify the plan. And I had to say, and I think we were talking about this earlier on. Okay, God, how do I still fulfill my purpose while at the same time putting bread on the table? I learned a lot of lessons then. I learned that you don't just jump up and run with passion. You need to be realistic and take all those factors into consideration. There has to be proper planning, and that plan is customized for each person. It's not a template that sort of fits Boitumelo, Francine, and everybody else.
One size fits all.
Oh my, one size fits all doesn't work, right? So, I mean, there's so much that we can talk about there, but I'm not going to go into a whole lot more detail, but I think I've said a mouthful. But at the heart of it is we need to be able to take where you are right now, where you want to go, and then devise a plan in terms of how you need to get there. And that's customized for each individual. I will tell you though, sorry.
No, so you're doing a great job. You're doing a great job. We often send our children to university, to colleges, and we think everything is sorted. No, look at how many of them are now sitting at home with graduate, people coming from universities, from colleges. Yeah. Look at how many of them are sitting at home. What is it that is lacking? I think it's proper planning, coaching that would help them to get over the fact that the fear of being unemployed. Because if they come out of universities, they are more resourceful than anybody else who's never been to university.
Yeah.
Even though our system has taught people to look for employment than to be employers themselves. We need coaches like you to show people the direction and how to transform their lives and, be better people, take those steps, those drastic and bold steps and start something. You will never know until you start, And many businesses have failed many times before they actually were $1 billion or billion businesses. They had to
I'm sorry to have interrupted you. I actually think that you touched on something with regards to our graduates who might even be sitting at home right now, and they're struggling to find employment. And there's a lot of talk around finding employment rather than being entrepreneurial, right? I really look forward to a time when we don't wait for someone to finish matric and they start thinking about varsity before they just get on a journey where they discover who they are, what they're good at, what comes naturally to them, what they're passionate about, right? What just in terms of their personality as well. We need to get to a point where this is information or content that actually is dealt with at high school level, actually primary school level.
Yeah,
we need to teach our kids
before they choose subjects, because
I was about to say that.
We look at the results. I mean, the matric certificate, and somebody has chosen economics with agriculture, with biology, things that just don't coordinate, things that don't relate. When they finish economics and tourism. Tourism. Like, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
What are you going to do with this? Even if
they're not being intentional. No one is teaching them to be intentional about their own lives and how to prepare for that, right? I mean, think back to, I thought to myself that in this day and age, more and more of our young people are actually being taken through that guidance where they need to be intentional about where they're at and how to, make wise career decisions. But unfortunately, we're not there yet. We are not there yet. And I see that just with regards to my current work as well, where we try and help students and graduates to be work ready. I'm not saying everybody is not where they should be, but I find that if we can get our kids while they're still in primary school and high school and teach them to discover who they are, what they're good at and what comes naturally to them, and really just for them to embrace their own passion. Some people will tell you passion is overrated. No, it's not.
It's not.
Because I think that God actually puts things in our hearts, in fact, that's scriptural. God puts things in our hearts. He puts that desire in our hearts for us to follow a certain path or do certain works that he has destined for us to do, and it is all for his good pleasure. So passion is not overrated. We need to help our children. My son, for example, he is crazy about playing drums. Ever since from a young age, he just has this inclination towards music, right? Towards playing drums, and he just has it just comes naturally to him. The right thing to do, and I'm not saying that's the only thing that he can do. There's a whole bunch of stuff. For example, the other day he was asking me about animation. I believe that, as parents, or when we see our kids in primary school or high school, we need to find out what comes naturally to them, what they love doing, what they're passionate about, and help to mold that so that they start moving towards the fulfillment of their dreams or their passion. It's not just about, hey, okay, no, listen, you're not going to get a job in music. Let's rather focus on you doing accounting. And then we're now miserable half at university because they don't feel that they want to do accounting. I really actually just wanted to do, you understand? So I know we've said a lot, but in a nutshell, on the personal development side of things, just in terms of coaching, I am not coaching as a professional coach. No, I'm not doing that. But it's still more in terms of, for example, what you and I did, where I'm able to get together with a person and I'm able to, I could offer some advice or recommendation, or just really working through a few questions to try and have a clear picture or direction of where they want to go with their own lives. But my work right now has been more in terms of career coaching, with regards to our students and our graduates, and even outside of my profession, what I'm doing right now, in my work, but even with regards to people, just being able to assist them with regards to what they need to, how they need to prepare themselves, whether professionally or just personally. But then I haven't been doing that in the professional sense of the word when it comes to outside of my work or my profession. I hope that makes sense.
It does make a lot of sense. So I have a question for you.
Yes.
And for those who've just joined us, it's the
not
coaching
a hard
hour.
Question.
It's the coaching hour with Boitumelo. We're talking to Francine Mashabela. I have a question for you, sis.
All right.
And the question is, now that we have identified the problem with matriculants, with people from the college, from the university, what are we doing about it?
Ooh, what are we doing about it? That's a good question for you too.
I realized I interacted with a matriculant. I simply came with information. I'm like, okay, check this information out. Here is a bursary. Here is government wanting to give money to young people who can start businesses. Here is courses that would help you to prepare and qualify for this funding. What did you do in school? And this is somebody that has matriculated, and to my shock, my heart was sore. I met up with the same situation whereby the subjects are just not connecting, and then somebody has not seen their transcript since they heard that they passed matric and that was it, they're out of school. And I gave information. I even gave a tablet with data. And I said, apply. This thing just says matric. It doesn't say C symbols or B symbols or anything. I don't think you should be a nanny for the rest of your life, especially with a matric. So here is an opportunity. Here is resources. Apply. I never heard from them about the application.
Wow.
I tried to say, if you don't have an email address, let me know. And then, no, I have an email address. But just that passion to do something for herself, to get out of this situation. The passion is not there.
Yeah.
The edge is not there to get out of this situation. Most importantly, the effort of even getting to a matric with the wrong subjects or with subjects that actually can't help one to advance much. And it really pained me. I phoned somebody. I'm like, how are children graduating from high school with this kind of attitude?
Yeah.
I thought people from high school would have this burning desire to be somebody big, to make it big out there. And I found a friend of mine. I'm like, how is your son? How is your daughter? Have you checked with them? What their passions are, what they want to be in life. I remember I used to do career guidance myself, and in the community, I would make sure that beginning of the year and middle of the year, before they choose subjects, I come back and say, what are you choosing? What do you want to be? Do you know how to get to a point where you become what you want to be? Yeah. I started a long time ago. I think I started before I even got to grade 9 myself. I used to ask people in my community to bring me university booklet, career booklet.
Wow, well
this
done.
I was just a curious and bored child because I was the only child at that
time. Not bored, curious. Curious.
Very curious. Yeah. But what pains me is that I stopped because I actually thought, that children of today, they have resources. Things that we didn't have. They have phones, they have data, they always have data. They're always on Facebook. I thought that they would be talking to each other about these careers, about how to get this, about how to get that.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
I think we need to just come to a place where we understand that, first of all, we're talking about people who come from different backgrounds. And because of the various backgrounds that we come from, that means our mindsets are different.
Yeah.
I think that's the first thing. That's the key thing that we need to be aware of. And on top of that, some of the things can't be explained. For example, with you, I don't know if you grew up in a township. I don't know if you had enough resources and all that. But the fact that you were a curious person, you were. Somehow you just had that in you. It was something that was in you to just be curious and want to know more and what you can do, with your life. So we have different kinds of people who come from different environments. And unfortunately, there are situations where if I'm affected negatively by my environment and my background, I either respond by just having that burning desire to get out of my current situation because it does not work for me, or giving up and thinking, this is the way it is, this is the way it's going to be. I find that if our mindset is wrong, then we're not going to be able to move ourselves forward. Even when someone comes and says, hey, nudge, let's get moving, like you did with this lady that you're talking about, with the young person that you're talking about, if they're not in the right mindset, they will hear you and maybe they'll start moving at the beginning because you're giving them a bit of a nudge. But when you're not there, when there's no one else to give them a nudge, then they will just settle and go, oh, well, this is where I am. So it starts with the mindset. You asked, what are we doing?
What are we doing about it?
And long term, if you want a quick solution right now, let's look at your subjects. Let's look at what your options are. This is the information. Let's get you moving. But if we want to have a long-term solution for our young people, for our young adults, then we have to first address the issue of mindset. Then we have to find out where the person is at so that they actually start moving for themselves. Because what's that saying that you can take? Is it take the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink?
You can't make it drink.
Or you can give me a fish or a keje, but at the end of the day, it's better, isn't it, for you to teach me how to fish?
How to fish?
Yeah, for me to learn, right? So I think that we need to start with the mindset. We need, it goes back to coaching. It goes back to really being passionate about developing people, but getting them to understand, or getting our children to understand that, hey, you are responsible for your own life, but also helping them to understand that it is possible. but you need to get up and start moving. There are a lot of initiatives that are happening out there to try and help young people to get to that point. But because of unemployment, because of, just wanting to have quick fixes, I find that some people are not willing to move in that direction. I had a student who, and I mean, just outside of the work that I'm doing right now, I had a young person who started studying a certain course, right? Right bam in the middle of it. I met him one day, go Pick and Pay. And I said, where have you been? I haven't seen you around. And he says, I decided to stop studying. It's not working for me. Someone is coaching me and mentoring me with regards to Forex trading. So that's what I'm doing right now. And therefore, school is not my thing. Right. Mm-hmm. And I totally understand that we think differently. But then I was thinking about this young man the other day because I haven't seen him since. And I wondered to myself, this was just before COVID.
Lockdown. So
with COVID and with everything that has happened, I was wondering to myself, where is he? What is he doing? Is he still on the path? Is he making a success of himself? But I felt that what he was doing, although it might be justified, but it was more short-term based than long-term. And I think that's where our problem is. The mindset and the fact that we're not thinking long-term, we're only thinking about finding a quick solution for where I am right now. And yes, our circumstances, our various backgrounds have an impact on that. But at the end of the day, we need to get our young people to discover who they are and groom them while they're still young. Our children, Bomosa, while they're still in primary school, I think that if we can just get them to dream, to see the possibilities and to help them to get the resources that they need, to get into community engagement programs where our kids, even though they come from, environments that are not so favorable, but then someone is helping them to see the possibilities and to make them aware of the resources that are available. That will make a difference. You asked a question. Actually, you said you were wondering to yourself, I mean, there's internet, that they are on Facebook, they are on, the resources are there, but then they would rather be on social media, or someone would rather be on social media than finding information out for themselves. It's something that I have also observed, and it has continued to baffle me. And I think it just goes back to mindset. You need to get to a point where you decide for yourself, I want to develop myself. I want to get out of this place that I'm at. I want to move forward.
Sorry, sis. What they choose to watch on TV, I always ask, are you learning something? Because
that's a good question.
Every time I'm sitting in front of TV, it's either I am watching a cooking show because I want to, learn to cook better. I watch certain things and I go and experiment.
Yeah.
And I was doing a talk at a youth day this year.
Oh, lovely.
And I was saying to them, the only time I go on Facebook, two things. I'm advertising my show. I'm marketing my show, the Coaching Hour.
Yeah.
Second thing, I'm buying something from somebody that I can resell.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. Those are the two times.
I was asking them, guys, there are so many groups on Facebook, those days before last year's lockdown, the first lockdown, I was in another group that was KZN holidays or something, because I wanted to get cheaper holidays. I asked them, it's like your Airbnb, but this time you're talking to people that were supposed to travel. I cannot travel anymore. Something came up. I'm going to lose my money. Take it for half price.
Why not?
I asked the youth. I said, What do you do when you go on Facebook? I mean, I'm talking to you right now, and some of you have got you've got your head down. You are on social media right now.
You're browsing through social media, yeah.
I said, guys, let's learn. Use your resources to bring something. Use your resources.
It's also the culture that we find ourselves in. Boitumelo. And I'm not blaming the culture. I know at the end of the day, we need to take ownership
Individuals
of ourselves.
Need to be responsible.
Right? But if as a mother, and listen, the struggle is real. The struggle is real. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like, hey, my son only watches 20 minutes, has only 20 minutes screen time every day. Hey, listen, sometimes like, hey, you've been on that thing for far too long. Your time is up. Go and do this. But the culture today, the culture that we are in today, there's information overload from all directions. And unless we teach ourselves and our children, and that goes for me too, that goes for anyone else who might be struggling as well, until we learn and we teach ourselves and we teach our children to really maximize on our time, on our resources, like you say, to adopt the right mindset, listening to the right content that will edify us and help us to improve, something for self-improvement, and that will just get us to move forward. Until we get to that point, we're still going to continue to have young people who grow up and they just literally brought up by social media, and then it's really just about this, what's happening, what's trending, what's on the social scene. But if we can start, but charity begins at home. If we can start as parents to start off by just developing the right culture in our families, I think those kids, are the ones who, when they get to high school, if someone is there to mentor them and to coach them and say, hey, you don't just choose a subject for the sake of choosing a subject. You need to look at your interests. You need to look at what comes naturally to you, your talents. You need to look at your abilities. We're not even talking about what you have learned to do at an advanced level, but we need to look at your personality, and then you need to start gathering, teach them what it takes. You need to start gathering information about careers that are available. Mind you, Boitumelo, in the day and age that we live in, some of the careers that are going to be in 2030 don't even exist as yet.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
But even having that in mind, if we can teach them to find that, the type of information that will help them to make decisions. And then when you have your information, you start looking at, what are my options? First of all, I found out what my interests are, what my personality is like, what comes naturally to me, what my abilities are, number one. Number two, I find information with regards to what careers are suited, or what really just draws me in, the type of careers that I want to get involved in, the fields of studies that I want to go into. And then after that, you start narrowing down your options. When you've narrowed down your options, then you can start thinking about making a decision regarding the subjects that you're going to take, so that by the time we become a trick, we don't play the regret game. But can you see how this is an involved process? But then it means someone has to be there to help that child, so that they follow the right process and then they make the right decisions. They discover what they like doing. They explore. That's another thing. If you and I don't explore, if you and I don't tap into different activities, we're not going to discover what we like. I wouldn't have known that I'm passionate about radio if no one introduced me to radio.
Yeah. We have a role to play.
Yes,
we must play the role of guiding these kids.
Exactly. So there's so much I know that's at stake. There's so much that we need to do, but I do think that let's hold their hands and start helping them, first of all, to change the mindset. Where their mindset needs to be changed. And then, the information is at their fingertips, helping them to maximize. You spoke about maximizing your resources and your time and all that. we can just get to that place, I think we'll have just a bunch of young people that think differently, right?
Absolutely.
I hope you agree with me.
Let's play that role. This is a Women's Month edition of the Coaching Hour, and I want Coach, please leave us with some beautiful words, motivation, motivates the mummies, of teenagers, of university kids. I believe that every one of us, as you have said, every one of us must play a role. And you have described the role that we need to play in our children's lives, as aunts, as sisters, as neighbors. I know most of us now have moved from townships to suburbs and stuff like that, but make it your responsibility just to ask every young child that you come across, even if it's within very little time, what do you want to become when you grow up? That question really made me think when I was young. It really made me think, what do you want to be? What are you planning to be? How are you getting there? Do you need help? What do you think, Coach?
You've said it. I'm reminded of, I can't remember where I was reading this, but it's also about career coaching. And can you believe that one of the questions they ask a person, even as an adult, they still ask them, what did you want to be when you were young?
Yeah. Have you
what do you want to be? Well, have you achieved that? What do you want to be? So just in terms of my message out there and just to motivate someone, can I just say, own your life, own your future. Some of us took the long road. It took us a long time to get to a place where we had to take ownership, because we were always waiting for someone to tell us what to do. I'm just talking about myself, waiting for someone to say, hey, go there, do this. But the minute you start seeing that there are so many possibilities out there and you own, you take ownership, the responsibility is with you. No one is coming to make that decision for you. If you can just get to that place, then that is progress in itself. You start moving forward, because you'll stop expecting someone else to come and rescue you. You'll stop expecting someone else to come and tell you what to do. Take ownership, take responsibility. For me, that's number one that I would like to just send out there. Take ownership of your own life. Figure out, where are you right now? Position yourself, locate yourself. Where are you right now? And then figure out for yourself. Take some time to reflect and think about, where do you want to be? That's your goal. That's profound. Your vision. And once you and it's not something that's just once off. You need to just obviously take some time off, get someone to help you to figure out, this is where I'm at. This is where I want to go. What do I do to get to that place? And how do I take ownership of my future? And the key word there for me is be intentional. Be intentional about your life. Be intentional about your future. Don't wait for things to just happen, and start moving in the direction of your dreams. But most importantly, can I just put something out there? Yes. Believe that it's possible.
Believe
as simple as that. Believe that it's possible. I think for me, that's one thing that has stopped me a lot, Boitumelo. Thinking small and not believing that it's possible. And even more so, not believing that, Nakile Francine, I can do this. Right? Yeah. So take ownership of your life. Take the responsibility. No one is coming to do this for you. Locate where you are at right now. Figure out where you want to go and how you're going to get there. Ask for help, of course, where you need to ask for help, and start moving. And do it afraid. Sometimes we think for us to start moving, we need to be brave enough and not feeling any fear. No, even when you are feeling afraid, courage is actually taking that step, even when you are feeling afraid, even when you are feeling, oh my gosh, can I do this? Do it anyway.
And to wrap it up, sis, with God, anything is possible and everything is possible. With prayer, you can achieve a lot of things. And when you exercise faith is actually believing that things are which are not yet.
Yeah, they will be.
Exercise your faith, pray about your dreams, pray and keep praying for your dreams, about your dreams, and nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible. Amen.
Thank you very much.
Luke 1:37.
Amen.
Nothing is impossible with God.
Nothing is impossible with God.
Yeah.
Believe it. And like the young Boitumelo was just, a big dreamer. And I always believed that God will come through for me. Where my parents could not take me, God will come through for me. I was very, very, very inquisitive and wanted to get out of the township that I come from. Poverty-stricken township. But I knew that I have got to work very, very hard to get very good results for matric.
Yes. Yeah.
Because with very good results for matric, I'll be able to get a bursary or even a student loan. And I studied through student loan until I finished. And the first job that I got, I make sure that I pay for that student loan because it's going to help somebody else after. Be intentional about your life. Coach has said, be intentional about your life. Go out there and get it. Nobody's going to do it for you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sis. Francine Mashabela is our coach.
Can I just say, Boitumelo, you don't remember, well, not that you don't remember, but I don't know if I've ever, because you and I obviously have been connected in quite a long time, but I've always admired you just for your drive and ambition from afar. And you should know, you should know that. So well done. When you're talking about being inquisitive and being curious, I sort of like, that's why. She's always just been so ambitious because she had that just being inquisitive. She had that curiosity within her to keep going and to try new things. So well done on that.
Thank you. I made it because I had a strong woman by my side, Coach Francine Mashabela.
No, man.
And I want to say thank you to many more women who helped me, who pushed me. After matric, my school teacher, Mrs. Power, I call her Granny. She pushed me. She said, apply for university. You're going to come and stay with me in Mahikeng. You don't have to pay for accommodation. Because I was like, if I apply, where am I going to end up? I need some place to stay. I need food to eat. I need transport to go to university. She said, apply for that university. I live close to the university. It wasn't that close. It was about 3-4 kilometers, 5 kilometers. Apply for that university. You're going to stay with me. Just that she changed my mind. I applied for that university, and that's the only university that took me. And I walked from her cottage all the way to university. Every day I would walk, and there were many other school kids, university first year students and other students that would walk with me, and they would phone me before they leave the university. They would find me so that we walked together. I was safe, and I stayed with my school teacher right up until I could get accommodation in the university. And even after graduating at the university, she still checked up on me. Where are you? What are you doing?
That's good.
It's not the ambition that I was born with, but this ambition was also persuaded and it was made, it was groomed by other women, other people that live with me. So I salute them Bokotos that, helped me in my life, picked me up, and you are one of them. Thank you so much for shaping my life.
Thank you. That was so inspirational. You just also reminded me of, for me to think about the people, the women, especially because it's Women's Month, but not only women, the men as well, who've had such a huge impact on my life, on your life as well. You've just mentioned your teacher. That's amazing. Thank you for that, and thank you for having me today. It was really wonderful. I appreciate it.
I enjoyed you. I love you, and all the best. And we are going to work together to help these kids to change their mindsets and give them skills, give them tools to be better people and to be focused and to find themselves before they get to matric. We're going to do it together.
Yes, I agree. Peace.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. I love you. I love you. And thank you for gracing us with your presence tonight.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.